the people that moved into Crystal, and they felt that they were getting a step ahead of the game.
If you understand the history of Crystal in the small town feel, hey, this is a place that it existed before, it can exist now.
Crystal is a great place, and it still is one of the best kept secrets, I think.
Family-run farms such as the Becker Farm, which Becker Park is named after, and the Galkey Farm, which operated for decades along Douglas Drive south of 42nd Avenue, flourished for years on the rich soil which was called the Crystal Prairie. As the years passed by, the farms gave way to increasing demand for homes and modern developments.
We had a lot of development right after the World War II, a lot of development in the 50s, and then that started to taper off in the 60s and a little bit in the 70s, and you see that with the split levels and stuff like that. We have a lot of Ramblers and a lot of Cape Cods, which were very affordable, and you got a fair amount of square footage with not a very big footprint.
The people came home from World War II, and there was a few houses on certain areas where you could buy the house for $50 a month or something like that, and you had yourself an instant home.
It was really amazing to see the city growing up. I always tell my kids that I grew up at the best time because all these different changes and stuff, and that, you know, it came about the party line telephones, my granddaughter thinks her dad's a fireman now for Elk River, kind of followed the family footsteps, but he's got, fancy radio, and I told my granddaughter how it used to be, and she just couldn't believe that, She's 12 years old, but really? That's what they did?
As the 1950s came to a close, Crystal wasn't the only one growing in population. Other surrounding cities and townships were as well. That led to a tug-of-war between municipalities as to who owned what and exactly what city boundaries would end up looking like. And that tug-of-war process left the city with some very interesting boundaries, including this section of the city near 36th and Winnetka that includes apartments, businesses, and cemeteries that are completely surrounded by the city of New Hope.
New Hope and Crystal finally decided, let's make some boundaries and then turn into a city, because they were arguing for years where they were going to go. The story I understand was they were going to have Winnetka as the boundary. Okay, then they said, well, no, we don't want to lose that much, New Hope said. So their biggest thing was Bass Lake Road. And then they moved it inward, more east. And so Bass Lake Road, they said, well, New Hope said, we want all of the buildings and all of the land right along Bass Lake Road for tax purposes. So it went all the way to the Crystal Bank, which is now Wells Fargo. The picture of Crystal, it looks like a motorboat, or the motor on a motorboat.
Public Works employees in the different cities, they know what city they're in based off of the curb line. So the city of New Hope, they have a more inclined curb line to the streets, whereas the city of Crystal has a more traditional, or like the steeper curb line. I thought it was really interesting to learn that they actually purposefully did that so they could easily determine which city they were in.
You don't have to look too hard to see the city's jagged boundaries today. A perfect example is here along Bass Lake Road, where the street signs jump from the green of Crystal to the blue of New Hope. As the area filled with homes, there were many new families in need of shopping options, and the growth of what is now a robust retail base in the city was on.